Hello and welcome to Chinny Vision 2 for a kind of Chinny rant. Slightly different angle from normal, makes a change. You might, for some reason, that's getting kind of washed out over there, the VFL display. But never mind, we're peaking at 5. Everything's good in the world. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about. Let's add a bit of visual interest first. I've got these lights I used the other day for that hedge fund drone video. Still hanging. Oh, that's a decent enough colour. Stick that there. Yeah, there you go. A bit of visual interest in the shot. Ignore the cables that should be managed better at the back there. Now I've kind of made it look, yeah, it really is dusty. Never mind. But I did manage to repair the desk, as you can see that from that video I did, YouTube short. Where I got the scratches out of my desk thanks to the Futurist 8-bit and his tips on remoulding plastic. Anyway, two things have come up in the last couple of days. And one of them is people who regard themselves as true retro gamers because they were there back in the day versus people who came to the systems later. Now, I'm one of those people who was there back in the day, but also I got some of the systems later, and many of you guys be in the same position. But there's people positioning themselves as true retro gamers because they had a Commodore 64, say, for example. Try not to go near the real example. They had one since 1985, and they've got all their original games, and they're true gamers. They're better at games because they've had all this experience. It doesn't matter, for example, their channel is entirely done with what it's effectively emulated footage. But again, I'm not drawing specific examples here of anyone out there, but they're true retro gamers, and I just say absolute rubbish. Everyone's a true kind of user of the systems. The only time it becomes an issue of people being kind of fake is when people pretend they were there back in the day and they try and produce videos saying, I was actually there, and then they weren't. That would be a bad thing. But someone coming to a system in, even in the last few years, this year, providing their videos are interesting, who cares? I'd much rather see someone engaging than some old fart from who's had a Spectrum or C64 or CPC for 40 years banging on about how superior they are while playing emulated footage. Effectively emulated footage. There's another thing. Do I gatekeep because I use real systems? And no, because it's all backed up with... I might test a game out on an emulator. I may save Spectrum games, RZX archive. I may well use an emulator to get the RZX into the positions I need to in order to drop off into a certain point into a game. Head over heels is the classic example. There's no way I could have got that far into the game, even with a cheat, without the RZX archive, which is a superb resource, and do support it. So, there's that, but just saying, I'm better than everyone else because I was there 40 years ago. No, there's no reason why you would be better than, someone half your age who's come along and picked up a BBC Micro in the last few years and learnt everything about it. I may well be more interested in them than I am you. I am not better because I've had a CPC since Christmas 85. I'm a 6128 owner, which naturally, as 6128 owners will tell you, make you better than everybody. That's just our kind of thing. It's a joke, of course, it's a joke. But it's Amstrad owners in general. We're better than everyone else. That was my little, if you saw my little Big Daddy video, I just did that as a little fun thing, just to see what the response would be. But I think everyone took it as it was intended, especially because Big Daddy is such a useless wrestler and is twice the size of every other wrestler. It's like a 464, get it? 464 is massive, and so is Big Daddy. But yes, if you haven't seen that, that's on the shorts on the channel, or there's this proper 4x3 version on Blue Sky. Just me having some fun. So I'm not better than anyone else, and you're not better than anyone else because you've had a Spectrum or C64 or CPC for 40 years. It's your content and what you do and how you come across to people and how you take part in the community that counts. So that's my first kind of ranty thing. Second thing is Unbound, which is a story that's been developing. Oh yes, I should plug Chinny Vision pens, by the way. We have I have lots of them. I have lots of Chinny Vision pens, and look how shiny they are. Available in packs of 2 or 3 on chinnyvision.com. Packs of 2, because actually the major constituent of the cost these days is postage, not the pens. So I can give you, and they are metal, they're not cheap. So you look at chinnyvision.com. It is .com, isn't it? Yeah, I'm good at this stuff. And also the Ko-Fi as well, I should mention, because there's loads of free content for everyone to see on there. I say loads. I'm not locking stuff down at present. It's just to kind of support the channel and say thank you, to pay for the podcast and things. So you can go on there, and there's extra videos to see, just kind of behind the scenes stuff. I was playing Golden Axe on the Spectrum the other night and just recorded it because I never played it on Spectrum. So that's something that's on there, and you just go into there, and link in the description below. It's an extra video. Anyway, where was I? Ah, yes, the developing story over the past couple of weeks. It's Unbound. Now, if you don't know who Unbound are, they are people who allow you to crowdfund a book, and then you write it, and then they give you some money in return, and the rest of the money gets used for printing the book. It's not a very cost-effective way to do it, because they do take a big chunk of money, and if you can get your stuff digitally printed yourself, you'll be far better off. But people like it because it's a platform, right? It just makes everything easy. And like a lot of these crowdfunded things, or you get all sorts of people doing stuff, and there's no real kind of follow through with it. So people may have years ago said, I'm writing a book, and then never actually got round to it, which is where the story comes to, because Unbound have kind of gone bust, but one of those slightly accounting things where the company goes bust, but the same owners buy all the assets and cherry pick the bits they want and go into a new company, and they go, don't worry, everything's going to be fine. I worked for a .com company 25 years ago who did exactly this. We went bust, but the owners bought the company back, and we were in the same offices, and there were certain bits of equipment we couldn't touch until they'd been bought back. I had to separate out all the spare computers and things because the new company didn't own them, but eventually we owned them all. And, you know, the only people who didn't get paid were basically the people who the company owed money to, which is how these things work. It's kind of your Howard's Way, Dallas business practices, all perfectly legal. Moral? It's legal. But what the best thing about these schemes are from the people who run the company's point of view is they can ditch all the stuff they don't want, right? So you can kind of cherry pick what you want, buy it, and then you ditch everything else. And so therefore you can have all these books on Unbound who are in the system where the money's been taken, and the authors haven't had the money yet either. And I think what they're probably going to do, I can't say this for sure, is ditch all the stuff they don't want whilst having kept the money, because the business was failing and they didn't ring fence the royalties. Years ago, I did put some work on a stock footage service. It was a very small one, early days. They were in America, just a husband and wife team. Great site, ran for years. I shot some stuff in central London off a roof of Tower Bridge, sold some shots. A mate of mine was in Marrakesh on a job, and there was a massive thunderstorm, and he took some brilliant footage at the hotel balcony when he was on a job and sold that on there. And this company had, basically they were spending the royalties they'd taken, and they hadn't ring-fenced them. So when the company went down, all the people like me, who was owed about $50, and my mate Matt, who was owed something like more like $500, didn't get anything because the company had spent the royalties. They weren't ring-fenced. And it looks like that's what's happened with Unbound. They've taken all this money in, and they never ring-fenced the money. They've probably taken an assumption as well, actually, at some point, that not everyone will actually get their book out. It's like those offers for flight simulators and things you see on Facebook, where they say, buy a voucher for your mate for got a flight simulator or a driving day or something. And those companies know that a certain proportion of people will never use those vouchers. So that's factored into the cost. And I suspect Unbound also factored in a certain amount of people never actually producing their books. Therefore, all the money is kept. Regardless, I don't think you're going to see those books that are currently pending, and there's a couple of retro books I can think of that have been pending for years, for them to come out. Now, the authors may decide to say, how sad, I can't actually fulfil my obligations. Granted, they never got the money, but what I think you're actually going to see is a load of authors suddenly doing Kickstarters and Indiegogos because, oh no, Unbound have gone bust, and they've taken me for all this money. I need to now do a crowdfunding campaign so I can get the book out. Honestly, the book's going to come out this time. Can you hear me scratching my chin there? Book's coming out, yeah. So I think that's what we're going to see in the retro community over the coming weeks, and other communities as well, to be fair. You're going to see suddenly, no, but my book was ready. Honest. I was so close. Here's some kind of proofs and things. Just fund me on Indiegogo. Just fund me on Kickstarter. And there's a number of them, no names, but you can find them. It's generally known who they are. And yeah, good luck to them if they can actually raise the funds and get the book out. But yeah. And if you've invested in a Unbound book, I'm going to cough. Sorry. If you have invested in an Unbound book, I don't think you're going to get it. And I have so many misgivings about Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Unbound, and all that stuff that, I sound like one of those, a Jonah about these things. Oh, it's going to be terrible. It's all this stuff's going to happen. But if I remember my Bible stories correctly, which I probably don't, didn't Jonah end up getting eaten by the whale? I don't know. But what I'm saying is, yeah, just my usual misgivings about crowdfunded solutions, which there are some good ones, and I've backed stuff, but I just go, yeah, if it's taken someone years to get a book together and suddenly mysteriously it's going to be ready just at this precise moment, I'd be questioning that. Other stuff that's going on in Chinny Vision world, I've done a few more videos than normal recently because I've just been a bit quieter in real life, so it's not getting back to a kind of weekly or bi-weekly or whatever thing. Stuff will still be coming out as and when I feel like it. Like tonight here on Chinny Vision 2, I can just do stuff, having a chat. I'm now thinking that blue light just looks like the police are going to... It's purple. You can actually do... Let's change the colour. Change the hue to a nice... Let's go for a nice orange. Shall we go for a nice orange? I reviewed these on the channel. I bought them for work. I just quite like them. They're quite useful. I've been taking them quite a few jobs. I use one to simulate... I won't go into too many details, but I had a lovely... that's kind of... turn it off. I had a nice green background, let's say... on a job, and I just used one of these just strapped to the back of the chair just to give it a little bit of green backlight, just a little bit in. Looked really cool. So if you check out the video for that if you haven't seen it on Chinny Vision 2, because I do extra stuff on Chinny Vision 2 like this and other stuff, and yeah, so thank you for watching. That's not really a proper Chinny rant, isn't it? I'll go and read Stuart Campbell's obituary it's kind of an obituary article about Jonathan Nash as well. I was going to produce a video. I did produce a video. I've recorded all the footage, I edited it, I did all the voicing and stuff, and I decided not to put it out because I didn't think it was witty or sharp enough or incisive enough to be worthy of Jonathan Nash. But I will say, terribly sad that he passed away. Read Stuart Campbell's article, even if you, like me, have many misgivings about some of his views. He did know the man. He's written a very good article. I still think he's one of the best retro or 8-bit and 16-bit games journalists out there as well, despite all the other stuff, because, you know, it's difficult, isn't it? Because you can't. It's like saying I can't read Amiga Power anymore and enjoy the articles. You can't really do that. Well, some people do, but I don't think things are that black and white in real life. So check that out. But I abandoned my video because I just didn't think it was good enough. But I may do something about YS2 at some point, because I was just sitting there reading all the issues of YS2 from the cover tape, laughing my socks off and just thinking this is brilliant and more people need to know about it, because, you know, Your Sinclair was certainly selling about 6,000-7,000 copies by that time, so not many people have seen it. Anyway, thanks for watching. I've ranted for far too long, and I'll speak to you all soon. Cheers.